Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on YouTube. We're doing a special Wednesday show this week. Excited to have a fantastic guest joining us, but before we get to our guest, we want to remind everybody that Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by HomecircleMedia.com for the latest and greatest in anime gifts, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out HomecircleMedia.com today or look for it at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you tonight by Casey Fox for all of your artwork, cosplay, and photography needs. Be sure to check out Casey Fox, that's KAYCIFOXX, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We're also brought to you tonight by Darren.
If you're in the Raleigh-Durham area and need lawn service or landscape work done, find me on Facebook, Triple S Lawns.
And we're excited tonight. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me, as always, in the co-host seat is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Hi.
Our co-host number 2, Angela, is not able to join us tonight. She had some prior obligations, so she will be back with us on Sunday when we have Aaron Campbell joining us. But we are excited. We have a fantastic guest joining us. I've been a fan of this young lady's for a long time. Talented singer, dancer, just all-around awesome person. I've gotten to meet her at a convention in the past, and it's been a while since we've had her back on the show, but I'm excited that she was able to take some time to join us. Please welcome Julily to the show.
Hello, welcome. If you'd like me to introduce myself, I have my own idol intro if you want to join in.
Sure.
Yeah, so on the count of 3, I want everyone to say bang, bang, bang. Can you do that?
Yes.
All right.
Darren, you gotta do it too.
Depends on how fast it is.
It's okay. You just say bang, bang, bang. Okay. Got it?
We got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Bang,
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 bang.
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 Shooting up the sky like a flower, I'm Julie, the idol from the Big Apple. Woo! But yes, I am. Well, I used to be more so like a Japanese pop-inspired idol performer, and I would do like the whole trifecta would be like image, dancing, and singing. So that used to be more of my priority, but my gears have shifted ever since like life just happened to me, and I want to actually integrate my spirituality into my idol stuff. So that's why I've been on hiatus, because I've been really thinking about my life purpose and like where I want the direction that I want to take it to. And my main mission is to take out the idolatry from being an idol and try to place people over profits. It's more of a humanistic or a holistic way of looking at performers in general. And mainly, I also want to highlight or emphasize on narcissistic abuse that takes place with performing arts in general, or even these types of communities in general, which I'll be discussing more later on as the show goes on. So
awesome. And we met, or we were introduced to Julily many years ago thanks to a group that's no longer around, Rainbow Bubble, when they performed at Bakuretsukan in Colchester, New York, or Colchester, Vermont. But you weren't a part of the group at that point, or you weren't a part of that performance.
I was a part of the group, but I wasn't able to attend that particular performance. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure I remember. I think I might have had like some issues with my health, or I had to attend to my rabbits. Because at the time I had like a bunch of rabbits that I had to take care of, and I wouldn't know like who would help me with that. So yeah.
And after the enjoyable performance that they had put on, and then we had them on as a guest, Julily was able to join us there, and that's when we first got to talk. And I got to then see some performances that you had been a part of, and that's when I started to become a fan of yours, because I could see that you were talented with singing and dancing. And I think a lot of people out there, especially with how popular musical based, not just idol-based animes with Love Live, K-On!, things of that nature, but music-based animes, a lot of performing that goes on and things like that. I think a lot of just your normal anime fans who enjoy these shows don't understand how much hard work goes into putting on these performances.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's I can't even say how much work it actually takes, like especially if you're not under a label or a company and you're just doing this by yourself. You have to take into consideration how you're going to be promoting yourself, the type of image and brand that you're coming out with, your editing, networking with other people, and then on top of that, you're practicing your dancing, you're practicing your lyrics, you're practicing your vocal technique, your styling. There's just like so many factors that go into being an overseas idol or just like your own independent performer. And I'm the type of person where I like to be more in control of what my activities are. Ideally, I would like a manager or people that can help me, but so far, I find people to be a little untrustworthy, and I got trust issues. So it helps me to figure out, like, okay, if I can adapt to this in a more unique circumstance and I pace myself correctly, like I have this approach of just working smarter rather than working harder, then I'm able to at least cover more ground without rushing or like just, more quality over quantity and whatever that I'm doing. And I think it's also important whenever you are performing and doing these types of things is to always be adaptable and be flexible with whatever happens. So I'm continuously making several backup plans in my mind. And this happens with even just general everyday life situations where I'm continuously making like backup plans in my head just in case something happens. And I play these scenarios as if it were to happen. And then I just plan strategically that way. That's the most you can do. You can't really control everything that goes on in life, but the most that you can do is just control how you're going to react to it and what you're going to do to overcome those challenges. So, yeah.
And you started performing at a young age, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. What is that? I've actually been performing majority of my life. So when I was 3 years old, I would just be like going around just like singing in general, because I started off like, what is that? I was being placed in like a special ed school beforehand, and I'm not sure why I wasn't like diagnosed with autism or something like that, but I did have a speech impediment. I had delayed speech as well, and it was really difficult for me to express myself. But the minute that I was able to express myself, I was just able to sing through everything. So whenever I'd be on the school bus with other kids, I would just be singing along to them, and the kids would just, play around with me and stuff like that. And I would just be like talking with my imaginary friend, just like in my own world, right? And then later on, when I went to school, I always joined like the school choir or the school chorus. And even in my local church setting, I would always be joining the local church choir. So yeah, like that, like singing was always a constant in my life. I think it came to a point in my middle school days where I just didn't want to sing. I was really tired of it. Maybe my zest for it just like kind of stopped. I'm still trying to figure out why. But I kind of stopped. And then when I was at like the age of 14 years old, that's when I started to discover Vocaloid music. And that's where it really hit me. And I was more so like a bedroom dancer, so to say, where it's like I would be pulling up Nico Nico Doga. If you guys don't know what Nico Nico Doga is, it's like a Japanese YouTube. So I'd just be pulling up Nico Nico Doga videos of like other dancers in Japan that are dancing to Vocaloid music. And I was so inspired by that, but I knew for a fact that like I am not a good dancer and no one has ever taught me these things. I live in a low income household. So every time I ask my parents like, hey, can you give me professional lessons on how to do singing, dancing, etc.? They're like, we can't afford that. So I was mostly self-teaching myself and learning how to do all these things. Again, at the age of 14, I was just doing a lot of research on Vocaloid and like dancing in general. And then by the time that I was actually able to perform and do stuff in person, it was more so at the age of 16. So, and I believe when I was joining Rainbow Bubble, I was 18 at the time. So it took me a while, but I did start this stuff when I was younger.
And it's one thing that, I'm not much of a performer. The most I've ever done is like karaoke. So, and I enjoy singing things of that nature. But thanks to an anime sometimes like Love Live might try to glorify the hard work that these girls go through to put on these performances, and they don't, like, they might show a brief bit of hardship and things like that, but your average idol fan doesn't fully understand. And it's one thing that I've always, it's the type of person that I am. I want to understand things as best as I can. A, because I have a genuine interest in it, and B, because it helps me become a better host for the show, so that we have guests like yourself on. I can come out here and be somewhat educated on your world, even if I've never been a part of it.
Yeah, actually, the fact that you're saying that is warms my heart, and it's very reassuring to me because as you know, my own indie performer and stuff like that, again, a lot of my inspiration comes from in real life, real Japanese pop idols. I've always paid attention to more of like the Chika idols, which are like the underground idols, and how they're able to do things over in Japan. And then I'm like, okay, let's see if I can take what they're doing and apply it to what I'm doing here in New York City, or if I'm going to other conventions, and just be malleable and adapt that way. And I've tried my best, like, trust me. It's like one of the reasons why I had to leave Overseas Idol Collection. If you guys don't know what that is, that used to be like my former community that I've built. And it was mainly prioritizing just indie idols, or like underground performers or artists that want to, you know, take the idol, like inspired by idols from Japan, but, you know, bring it more into a Western atmosphere. And there have been times where, forgive me, forgive me in the past for doing this, but there are times where I've definitely gotten into heated arguments with people saying like, listen, you know, Love Live is just the tip of the iceberg. It's great if people are introduced to Love Live as in like, oh wow, I really like idols, but it's like, again, it's definitely what you said. It doesn't show much of the struggle, and I think the main thing when it comes to being an idol is the struggle. It's not as easy as the show portrays, where it's like, oh yeah, I can get these costumes done really quickly, I can compose a song really quickly. This stuff takes a lot of time, and not to mention a lot of money, and that's money that, you know, I don't really have, and that's something that I've been trying to work towards for the longest time. But when you have little resources, when you have little help that is there, it's tough to figure out how you're going to go about your passions in a more realistic way. So yeah.
And I think that fits, you know, just not just in the idols, especially when it comes to, like, this day and age, a lot of people are struggling. COVID put a stop on a lot of things, a lot of people out of work. I was fortunate enough to be an essential worker, being a mechanic, where I was able to work through all of COVID. But a lot of people lost jobs, businesses have closed because of it, things of that nature. So money has been tight all over the place. Plus, you know, with the way things have been going recently, and it's not just, you know, like in you trying to better yourself as an idol or a singer, dancer, performer in general, you're trying to do the best you have with what you have at your disposal. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people overlook when it comes to, you know, not just the idol world, but, you know, a lot of the performers in general. We see it with the voice actors. I saw an article recently about voice actors, you know, are still getting paid 2000's wages, even though it's 2022 and anime has like tripled in business and
Right.
volume and stuff of that nature. And I think your basic fans, and this is not a dig at anybody in the anime, pop culture, you know, idol world, but as a general consensus, a lot of us are blind to what goes on behind the scenes. We want to sit down and watch our favorite show and don't think about, okay, we like this voice actor, whomever may be voicing our favorite character, but overlooked are the people behind the scenes, the producers, the directors, the sound engineers, and all that stuff. Much like in your world, people will see your performance on stage, but they'll probably never think about, you put 1,000 hours into just this performance, just this one dance move,
Right.
or learning this song and being able to sing it accurately and everything. People don't think about that side of things when you're on stage. And, you know, it's one thing that I really enjoy doing with the show is trying to bring to light a side of the performing world, a side of the con world that most people don't see. I've been very fortunate enough to talk to voice actors and get an understanding of their side of things. I've been a vendor at conventions because my wife is an artist. So I've been in Artist Alley. I've been the part of the setup and takedown when the doors are closed. So I have the experience of what it's like on both sides of the table.
Mm. Well, again, I'm really glad that, again, you're taking the time to do your research and you're really trying to understand the community in all its different areas that goes on. Because that's also a very similar goal that I align with, is that not many people just simply know these things because they just only see it like, oh yeah, this is totally fine. I'm definitely getting into it. But when it comes to performers, as of myself, like someone who has been raised in a low income family, not even just that, dealing with like emotional trauma and abuse and stuff like that, like trying to heal from that. And on top of that, I am also a minority. I am half Filipino, half Italian. So as an Asian myself, going out into New York City is very daunting. It's very scary. And I had to learn how to basically adapt to these streets and figure out the best way that I could survive. And I'm taking that survivalistic approach and I'm trying to put it like into these like convention scenes, and I'm trying to at least talk to whoever I can that will have the capacity to listen to me, because there have been many times, like many times, where I've sent emails or I've just like spoke in person, and sometimes it's unfortunate, but we have to acknowledge that there is a level of privilege when it comes to these spaces, because a lot of people, again, they only see the surface level. They're not really paying attention to like what goes on behind the scenes. And not even just that, I think they just don't want to get their hands dirty when it comes to drama, but that becomes a problem, which again, I'll talk more about drama later. But that becomes a problem when we become a bystander of the issue. We allow all these things to be swept under the rug until it gets too late and starts surfacing in very ugly ways. But yeah.
What do you think, Darren? That's the test to see if he's still awake.
Oh.
And I think we may have lost him.
Well, I mean, Princess Coco is here. And if you guys don't know who Princess Coco is, she has been my support bear. I've always been, this is random, but I've always been like a random, like Build-A-Bear, not random. I've always been an avid Build-A-Bear fan. And before I even got involved with the anime scene, I was always into Build-A-Bear. And I went under the title of Julianne Bubbles. So basically what Princess Coco has to say is like, bullying got to stop in these places. That's all. She's like, bully, don't bully anyone. Yeah.
And, that brings up a good point that I think a lot of times, as you said, people don't, focus on or don't really pay much attention to, is especially from a female perspective.
Mm-hmm.
As an idol, I'm sure that you are, you I'm sure get heckles, you get catcalls, you get harassed quite a bit, especially as a female performer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a side of the convention, side of performing and conventions. Female cosplayers. Operation Hammond has a great thing that they do. Cosplay is not consent. Posters everywhere and stuff of that nature. And it's something, unfortunately, in our day and age, that you have to voice it. You have to put it out there that, there are boundaries. Just because you're a performer, you dress up in a cute outfit, go up, sing, dance, and look amazing on stage, that doesn't mean that you're open to unwanted advances, unwanted comments.
Exactly. And I think what's also the scary thing is that a lot of these people, they start to become your friends, right? You never know when they are able to, not able, when they turn on you, because a lot of people just go to these conventions for fun. My friend Abe Klein, he's like a therapist, right? And he goes to these conventions and he's hosting panels. I've been to one of his panels at Otakon, and he calls this con brain, right? Essentially where everyone's getting like all hyped up and they're like all in it for the fun. But the problem is that they're taking whatever high school drama or, that kind of childlike mentality and bringing it into these spaces instead of being aware and mindful of the moment. It's like, hey, there's a certain way that we should conduct ourselves when it comes to talking to other people in general. And it's like, even if you're outside of convention, this is just everyday etiquette. There's a certain way that you need to conduct yourself whenever you're talking to certain people, because you really don't know who you're talking to. You might think that, again, oh, I'm having a good time and I'm making friends. That's totally fine. But sometimes people have that competitive mindset and they let their egos take the front seat. And that becomes an issue when it's like, it's not even there for community building. People are afraid to truly be themselves and show how they really are out of, like, again, fear of judgment or like shame or something like that. And I think it's fine if you're like, let's say that you're a performer, right? And your performance wasn't the best. I think it's fine to judge things on those things. Or even if you're at a cosplay masquerade and you're wearing a certain cosplay and the judges are scoring like, hey, I think the execution of this costume could be made better and stuff like that. Those are totally fine. But when it comes to, like, people allowing their insecurities to get the best of them and then dishing that out and like taking that out on other people, that of course, can really traumatize people, and it can make people like not even want to join these spaces, which, again, they're supposed to be there for fun. You're supposed to be there to enjoy yourself and like exude whatever passions that you're doing. And you can especially see this when it comes to POC spaces as well, or like Black cosplayers. They have a hard time of showing themselves like in these scenes or getting the traction that they deserve because they are a minority. All these things are like all interconnected. So
Oh yeah, and we have in reference to Black cosplayers, we are fortunate enough to be doing a cosplay roundtable where we do have a couple of Black cosplayers, and I'm excited to be welcoming them to the show. Much like a lot of people, we had Danny Chambers on the show last week, this past Sunday, and a lot of people, when she came out as Chise in Ancient Magus' Bride, people were surprised to find out she was Black. And it's like, that doesn't make a difference. She's still an amazing voice actor. These cosplayers are still amazing cosplayers and people. Who cares? I've always been somebody, you're a friend until you prove me wrong. And that's how I've always lived my life. And I've been burnt, as we all have, by people like that. But at the same point in time, I've been able to meet some amazing people, have some fantastic experiences and whatnot. So it's, I don't like living a shallow-minded life. As you know, through our conversations in the past 4 or 5 years, I've been very welcoming to anybody and everybody. I love bringing people on the show. I love promoting, and the people that I admire and enjoy, whether it's a cosplayer, an artist, a gamer, the voice actors, which we're always like so blessed to have so many different voice actors who have been on the show. I learned a lot from them. And that's one thing that I enjoy doing with this show, is being able to promote people, promote different things, whether it's a project, whether it's a cause, whether it's whatever. It's fun to learn about new things.
It's good that you're taking a more inquisitive approach when it comes to a lot of these things, because like I said before, your everyday consumer is only focused on like the aesthetics, or like, oh wow, this is like the trending anime that's all the time, that's at the time and whatnot. And again, those things are fine if you're just like enjoying the moment, but again, we really should give credit to the people who worked hard to create these animes, as far as the animators go, the voice actresses, like the musicians, just all of the above, because they are people too, and that is also their livelihood. Like, that's their bread and butter. So if we aren't able to support them in a more humanistic way, it kind of degrades, I wouldn't even say degrades the integrity of the product itself, if you would even call it that. But it just makes it hard for people to even connect with one another. And I think that's the main important thing when it comes to these spaces, is that we have to learn how to connect with each other, especially during these times where everything feels very separated and everyone is, in an era of uncertainty. We don't know what's going on. But the best thing that we need to do is try to maintain some trust, some respect with one another, and like build upon that. Because it's tough doing these things alone, and we shouldn't have to do these things alone. So.
Oh yeah. Switching gears a little bit, I know you said that you had been out of, not keeping up so much on the anime world and whatnot, but getting to talking about some of the music-based anime, did you ever watch Show by Rock?
No.
Because that anime, and I bring it up because I'm a huge fan. I have I talk about the officially licensed art books, and here's one of them. They just dropped Show by Rock Stars, which is basically like season 4, in English last week or 2 weeks ago, and I binge watched 12 episodes in one night because I'm a huge fan of the series and whatnot. But that show does a pretty good job of showing some hardships, not to the same point that like Love Live might show, or what actually happens when you're working with a group and trying to do choreography and things of that nature. Mashumai Resh, which is the 4 girls who are basically on the screen behind us, the background picture. It's 4 girls who were put together at random to form a band, and you see the struggles and you see how they try to work together. There's a lot of infighting that happens, and it's not just in Mashumai Resh the first season, but it continued into Stars, and it did a better job of showcasing some of the inner turmoil that can happen, but also how when they work together, they can overcome that through friendship and through music.
Right,
And the one thing I really enjoyed about Show by Rock as a whole is it doesn't just focus on one style of music. You've got the idol groups, you have the pop music, you've got heavy metal, you've got traditional Japanese music, you've got all sorts of genres.
Interesting. I'll definitely look into that, because the only other, I'd say, music animes as far that I watched, because again I haven't been keeping up, was Nanabun no ni Juni, which means 22/7, and that is like from the same person who created like AKB48, like it's under that. There's also AKB0048.
Love that show.
Yeah, AKB0048. It's a really good idol anime. If you like fighting and idols, then you can check that. There's also Zombieland Saga, which is kind of funny if you're like into comedy. And then there's Wake Up Girls, which is a little bit more down to earth and a little more grounded, as far as like understanding what goes on behind the scenes, because there have been times, there have been glimpses with like Wake Up Girls where it's like it started off like a small company these girls got involved with, and they just kind of like were trying their best to get more traction and more fans and supporters to see them. And what is that? It also talks more about like the business side as well of like how this idol stuff. But again, never really base things on just anime itself. Pay attention more to in real life idols. Like there are idol documentaries out there. I can't really list them off the top of my head, but there are definitely idol documentaries out there, and also behind the scenes videos that you can watch. It might take like a little while, because a lot of these J-pop idol stuff is not as easily translated in comparison to K-pop stuff, because K-pop stuff, people have like so many translators that are there. With J-pop, it's a little bit more difficult to get translators on board and like repost these things. But yeah.
Kind of funny you mentioned Zombieland Saga. I was actually going to bring that up once he was done with talking about Show by Rock.
Oh. What are your thoughts on the show?
Love it. Unfortunately, didn't manage to catch season 2. I got overwhelmed / busy, and that one unfortunately met it kind of got on the chopping block of my seasonal anime that season. But I did see season 1, and very interesting show.
I think we also see at least season 1. I haven't seen season 2, but my wife has, and it's on my to watch list, which it might actually get watched next season, because there's not a whole lot coming out spring that has really caught my attention like winter season has.
And also, there's a show airing now, Princess Connect Redive, there's actually a idol group in the show that they make it a point to say that, let's see, they sing, dance, and fight, because they say that every time that they have a concert, a group of monsters shows up and they end up fighting during the middle of the show while performing.
Mm.
It was actually
That must be so daunting. Like I can't imagine myself. Like imagine it's like something comes at me while like, and I have to like dodge while I'm like singing. You know, like I'm just like dodging while like there's like bullets being like thrown my way, and I'm like, I can't. I don't know. I think it's too much at once.
well, there might not be bullets in this one because it's a fantasy anime, so
It's
use your
more swords
imagination.
and it's more of swords and like demons and
Magic.
monsters and stuff like that.
That's
Magic
still a
and
lot, though. It's like, it's those girls would have to build up a lot. Like, I mean, a lot of cardio strength in order to keep up, like both singing and fighting at the same time. Like, you're gonna, oh, I'm just like, I feel really drained just thinking about it.
that'll be Julily's next concert. No.
No, okay. Actually, let me enlighten you on some things. During the whole like, I'm gonna take it back to Rainbow Bubble days. Okay, so during the times where I was with Hitomi, right? We used to have dorms, right? So we were actually very fortunate, very very fortunate. Like in like the middle of Brooklyn. No, more like south of Brooklyn. I would go to the studio like once a week and stuff like that. So we had our own dance studio. We had our own dorms. We had our own like little like cubbies or lockers where we could put our stuff. And then we had a kitchen, like a small kitchen, a bathroom, and then we had a storefront where we would sell like anime merchandise, and then we had like the basement where we would like keep all the rest of the merchandise. And because interchangeably, what is that? Hitomi would be the one to like set up booths and like, well, Hitomi and staff would be the one to set up booths, and we would be like carrying stuff back and forth through the van and stuff like that. I had to learn how to build up a little bit more strength when it came to carrying all that stuff. So on top of that, she also implored me. It's like, Julianne, you need to exercise more. So she would try to get me to be more grounded in my body and like stretch properly, and then also like go on jogs every now and then. And I took that upon me, and I'm like, okay, so I have to make sure that I continuously do that, because while you're singing and dancing, it takes a lot of strength out of you. And singing, people think that singing comes from here. It's really all over, right? Especially if you're doing it on stage and you're dancing at the same time. What you're supposed to do is fill your stomach up with air first and have that as like a first lung. And then your lungs itself, that would be your second lung. So once the air comes out of your stomach and then the air comes out of your lungs, when you're able to hold out notes or like, you know, do that as much as you can, then it makes it easier to be a little bit more, what is that? To have more duration while you're singing without losing breath. And then also whenever there's like little breaks within the song, you have to make sure that you have like a little breath in between as well. So it's like so many things to factor as well. And these are things that again people just don't know. Especially if they're starting off as their own overseas idol performer, they think like, okay, let me just like sing and dance. Like, no, you really have to take into consideration like how your voice will carry out throughout the whole entire performance, and then rehearse that beforehand, and really actually be self-aware that it's like, can I actually handle this? You know, when you're like creating the set list or like things that you want to do, people would want to pick songs because they like the song, but that's actually a really bad tactic. You shouldn't pick a song because you like it. You should pick a song because you can perform it to the best of your ability, like you're confident and you're able to do it. So there's so many things, but yeah. Your thoughts?
And talking about like the breasts and things of that nature, like you said, it's a side of the idol world or the performing world, and I'm sure it holds true to any singer, performer, dancer, whether it's singing, stage, theater, whatever. A lot of movements and stuff that the fans don't think about. And when you were talking about that, it made me think back to the original Love Live that started the whole Love Live phenomenon. When you see them running up the stairs, and training their bodies to be able to, if they're going to be up and dancing and singing, you've got to train your body on how to breathe properly so that you're not
Yes.
out of breath, like you said, that you can hold the notes, that you have the stamina to dance and not, anybody who dances, you go to a wedding and you dance, you get winded after a while.
Mhm.
Imagine trying to sing a song perfectly while you're doing the dancing and stuff. There's a lot of coordination that you have to go through between mind, breathing, everything, which 90% of us would never even take into factor.
Yeah, the longest that I could last as far as me performing, if I'm thinking about it, would be probably 2 hours or like 3 hours if I'm really pushing it. But that is if my energy is at a stable level. More often than not, I can really calculate in my head. Like I'm always like, imagine that meme with like the blonde woman with like the math equations in front. Like I'm always calculating in my head. How much energy will this expel out of me? How much time do I need? What do I need to eat beforehand? Like how much time do I need to sleep? All of these things. And usually after a performance, I am so winded, I start sleeping for days just to recover my energy because it took so much out of me. But I guess you could show that how much dedication I want to put into my performances, because I want to make sure that I put my entire heart out when I'm doing it. I don't want to like half bake it. So
comment in the chat room that said, "Oh my God, those stairs like in big AKB performances give me massive anxiety. They run up and down them in high heels, and it's just terrifying to watch."
Oh gosh. Speaking of stairs, I had a fear of stairs because I used to be pushed down them. So in order for me to conquer my fear of stairs, whenever there's like the New York City subway stairs and whatnot, I would just walk up 2 stairs at a time, and I just keep doing that. And even at conventions, if everyone's like at the escalator and everyone's like going so slow, I'm like, so slow. So I just like I just keep going, like walking up the stairs, and then like I zoom through the crowd and whatnot. Learning how to navigate is really important. I'm just also an impatient person, so but that's just me.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a warning right now. If you have a thing with stairs, do not watch another.
Oh, I already know. Oh gosh, I already know what you're talking about. I already seen it. Oof. Yeah, that was not pleasant. I actually I thought I would enjoy that show. I really didn't. It was just it was just shock value. It wasn't enlightening at all. I didn't enjoy it. I would say 4 out of 10. 3 out of 10 if I really have to rate another as far as a horror anime goes. So,
well, don't worry, we've had lower ratings.
I think there's a show Darren and I have watched that we've kind of rated a 0 out of 10.
Which show is that?
Or at least I rated 0 out of 10, and that's Conception.
Oh, I never watched that.
Don't.
I wouldn't.
No, but now you got me curious. I'm the type of person, I genuinely love bad content. I just like critiquing things a lot and roasting people. So.
Okay, if you want bad content done to the extreme, go watch Aiken.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. What genre is that?
It's only 2 episodes because of how bad it was. So it's School Life.
School Life and is that it?
Pretty much. That's all I'm gonna give you because that's really all it is. It's only 2 dang episodes.
I mean, you know what?
I guess you could say a little bit of comedy, but
I mean, I could just go to my local high schooler and my local high school and look at the high schoolers there and just see what they're doing. Like there are times where they'd be fighting at the gas station, and then I'm just sitting back and I'm like shaking my head. I'm like, oh wow, this is an awful anime. I hate it.
And we want to let all our fans out there know, if this is your first time watching Anime-Zing Radio, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to support us here on the channel on YouTube. hit the like button for the video, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 200 subscribers. When we hit that mark, we are going to be doing a giveaway where one lucky subscriber gets to sit in a co-host seat for a future voice actor interview, which means you will be able to join us for a full 2-hour show where we may have a voice actor from Funimation, Sentai Filmworks, maybe Pokemon, who knows. We've been here for, we're getting ready to celebrate 8 years in April, and we've had over 50 different voice actors on the show, everybody from up-and-comers like Danny Chambers, and Aaron Campbell, who's coming on next week, to some of your favorites, including Brittany Karbowski, Monica Rial, J. Michael Tatum. We've had some amazing people join us here on the show. So definitely help us hit that subscribe goal of 200 as quick as we can. Our goal for the year for subscribers is 500. So we need your help to hit those. Also, if you want to support the show, I have a Patreon link that's right below my picture. If you'd like, go there, support us. All proceeds from the Patreon go back into the show to help us with improved equipment, sound quality, and convention coverage. Also, if you want to see performances by Julily, we did cover her performance at Katsukan Idol back in 2017, and you can find that video right here on our YouTube channel. You just gotta go back in history a little bit.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that. What is that? That was filmed at that time.
I was, being lucky enough to be press at Katsukan that year. That's why I was sitting front and center with the camera to record all the performances. And, you were, like we mentioned earlier, you were the winner of that Katsukan Idol.
Oh, yes. Let me show you guys. Hold on. Give me just a minute. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Yes, it's a little dusty, I'm sorry. This is my Katsukan Idol 2017 trophy. Yeah. And I'm like thinking back in time, like thinking I could have chose better song selection. Because like I was still surprised that I won first place because I messed up in the middle of the song. Like, well, my second song, I believe I messed up. I was getting so much anxiety because personally I'm the type of person where I don't like competitive spaces. So it was the first time I actually entered into, let alone a singing competition. So the fact that I was able to get first place, I'm like, wow. So
I also think it helped where you were the only performer up there who added dancing.
Oh, well, yeah, I felt like
I think you had some bonus points there, but really you put on a great show. All the singers did a fantastic job. I don't want to take anything away from any of the competitors. You guys did a phenomenal job up there. I could never do it.
Oh, I mean, like, yeah, for sure. What is that? I'm still friends with one of the contestants. I think he was like second place. So I'm actually still good friends with him, and I forgot his name. He goes by CD, and he's like more into like K-pop stuff. And we were like bonding behind the scenes when we were like having the competition, and he was trying to go up and like do his own little K-pop thing too. Which was awesome, just getting to know different singers and what they like to do. He gave me a cough drop beforehand. He's like, "Here, this help you through with your voice," and I'm like, "Thanks." So it was a very fun experience. Would I ever compete again? I'm not sure. Again, I think when it comes to competition, it gets me very nervous. I like more collaborative spaces, but that's just me. I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, and bringing up the competitive side of the singing and stuff. A lot of conventions now have idol showcases where there's multiple idols up there, multiple idol groups. I think thanks to the success of Love Live and things that more people are wanting to try the idol world.
Right.
And you see a lot more groups at in the New England area, I've seen idol showcases at Anime Boston, Kineticon, even some of the smaller shows like AAC, things like that. You're seeing a lot of idol performers putting on shows.
Right. The thing that I actually have to say when it comes to those performers and stuff like those performances and stuff. So when it comes to, let's say, masquerade spaces, there are times, and I usually don't really attend masquerades at all. I would only go for maybe like 1 or 2 acts that I care for, but that's pretty much it. A lot of these masquerades would, let's say like Katsucons, like masquerades, they would be like over 4 hours long. And then a lot of it would be like a lot of like Love Live cover groups. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's important to have like a separation. So it's like, okay, so idol groups go in like this segment of the show, and then the other cosplayers can go in this segment of the show. So having that type of division makes it easier for people to like pay attention to different types of shows, or just like separate, make like a particular idol showcase for like the main stage and stuff like that. And I think they also should, at least in my opinion, but this is probably just coming from my own bias given my background, they should change it to more of like an anime or cosplay idol showcase. Like if you're cosplaying and you're doing the dance and it's like it's licensed characters, it's not your own songs, even if you're not like singing it, that should be specified. Because again, people can confuse the anime world with like in real life idols, and then those in real life idols are kind of overshadowed by a lot of these cosplayers. And again, nothing is wrong with cosplayers, but it's just like important to have certain spaces for certain types of performers, so then everyone has their own fair share of being exposed to a proper audience. So when it comes to overseas idols in general and them having spaces, it's been actually very, very difficult to let alone show traction or like showcase these kinds of things, because it's still very niche, it's still very new. So when people want to join in as like an indie performer, and what they don't know is that most of the knowledge that they're basing it off of is anime idols, and what's more important is that they pay attention to what actual musicians do. Like start getting involved with not only talking to other overseas idols and getting a know to what they're doing and how they function, but branch outside of that and talk to real life musicians. And they don't have to be like large scale musicians, but local musicians that even if they don't even know anything about idol stuff, but they know more about music and how they work their own business, that could also be very useful for those who are trying to get involved with performing in general, if you don't want to do the whole cosplay thing. So it's just like very different types of performances that need to be catered to in different ways.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And I had a thought and my brain.
I'm sorry.
All good. It happened. Darren will tell you that's a normal thing for me. I suffer from shiny object syndrome, something fierce, and then my cat went walking by, brushed against my leg, and it distracted me too. Because he's hungry. If he gets close enough, I'll grab him so you can see the orange fluff ball.
Kitty.
I have 2 cats. You can't really see either of them. And both my cats are named after anime characters too. Because we're weebs.
For sure. But what is that? Do you have like any particular questions when it comes to idol performances, or just like anything in general?
For like the performances that you do, how do you choose the songs?
That's tough.
I know you said that's a very important part of being a performer, is choosing the right song to sing, not just because you like it, but because you can perform it. How do you figure out which ones you want to do, and how much time do you put into each one to get yourself to the point that you're comfortable singing it?
So I mainly go by feeling. If it feels right for me, it's right for me. And this can be difficult because some people might not have like a stronger sense of their own internal compass or their own intuition. But I kind of just get a feel of like, okay, what song like do I like? And then I also take into consideration what song do other people, not mainly what other people like as far as like, oh, I'm just doing this just so I can cater to the audience. There's a few times I did that, but more often is like, what's going to get the audience like pumping? Like, what is going to get them like to really enjoy what I like? So first off, I base it off of what I'm just intuitively feeling at that moment. Second of all, I take into consideration my limitations. So this could be limitations when it comes to my own pitch control, when it comes to my own vocal technique, which I'm still learning. I'm very new to like doing vibrato and like all that stuff. And also, the third thing, if there's a dance to it, how much I can like last as far as stamina goes when it comes to picking a song. So I take into consideration all three of those factors, and then I compile like a set list. I make like a spreadsheet of a set list, and I actually calculate like all the minutes that go into it, so I don't go over time. Because there are many instances where it's like, let's say that you're hosting a panel in general, and then you're not sure how long things will go, so you're just going off of an estimate. Some people don't really calculate like, oh, okay, this is going to take this much time, and then they kind of like go over the time of the panel, and then it kind of bleeds into the other person's panel. So I'm trying to take into consideration that. I'm also taking into consideration the stage setup that I have. Like, is it a carpeted stage? Is it a regular stage? Does it have no stage at all? What kind of environment am I working with, and what kind of environment am I catering to? So let's say, for example, if you're singing to, this is probably a bad example, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but if you're like singing to a bunch of old people, you're not going to want to come in with like high poppy music, because that's not going to be like, I mean, I guess you could if you really want to, but if you're like singing to old people, they want to hear something that's like a little bit more mellowed and a little bit more settled out. So you would pick a set list that is according to the atmosphere of that environment. But yeah, so pay attention to your own internal compass, pay attention to your limitations, and pay attention to your environment. Just like those three things in general is key when it comes to building a proper set list. And as far as your other question of how long it takes me to practice these kinds of things, it really all varies. If I'm doing a performance, let's say that I'm doing a 30-minute set, it can take me about, I can do like less than a month of preparation work if I need to do that kind of thing. But I also keep in mind that there are many instances where people come to me last minute for things, and I have to kind of crunch in that time. And I'm like, okay, well, let me just do songs that I already know. Let me pop these things in, and then let me figure out how I'm going to go about that, because especially if you're like trying to put yourself out there, and if you're getting paid, sometimes they just need you immediately. And it's important to be flexible in that regard as well. So.
Now, when it comes to the dances and stuff, do you have somebody that you work with for the choreography, or do you come up with a lot of that on your own?
Oh, okay. So a lot of the stuff, since I do cover songs, it's more like I'm basing choreography off of the video, so it's mainly self-taught. What does help me though is that I go to my friends in the dance community, and we kind of like pump each other up, and like it's better to dance with other people, let's just say, because they're able to encourage you, and you get like a feel of each other, and they can also point out mistakes in your dancing that other people can't, or you can't do so much on your own, because there's only so much that I can do when it comes to me pointing out like, oh, I made a mistake here, oh, I made a mistake here. And being able to bounce off of each other's energy, and not even just that, but make eye contact when you're doing it. There's like a nice like relationship when it comes to dancing. Maybe that's why I like dancing more. You get a feel for one another, and being able to have that type of connection while you're dancing, it makes it easier for you to embody emotion when it comes to the music that you're dancing to. So. Mainly it's choreography that other people have already done that I do. If I'm making my own choreography, sometimes I like incorporating like little tidbits of lyrics, and like doing movements that are in correspondent to the lyrics. For example, there's a song, I forgot. It's called Fateful in English. It's like one of the original songs. Tadaima unmeichu deai wa soba ni. One of the things that I did is one of the lyrics, it goes by Yurari basu time. So I thought that lyric basu time, I thought it meant bus time. So I did this with like, oh, this is the Snoop Dogg where he's like doing this, and I was like trying to visualize, oh, it's like a bus wheel. But then someone told me like, no, that's not, it doesn't mean bus time, it means bath time. And I'm like, oh, because Japanese people would insert like English into their lyrics. And I'm like, oh, okay, so yurari means swaying, right? Basu time. And then when I did this, I'm like scrubbing the other person's back. So doing like those little creative things when it comes to choreography helps. So like sometimes I make my own choreography. Sometimes I ask my dance friends to make choreography for me. So having those types of connections like help a lot when it comes to like figuring out what you want to do and whatnot. But I try to at least expand my knowledge and not stay to my comfort zone when it comes to dancing. For example, I used to be part of a thing called K-Pop Academy, and they were doing like boy dances. And boy dances are a lot more controlled. They're a lot more like structured, and there's like a lot of like isolations that go into it. I'm a very fluid, loosey-goosey type of girl. So me being able to challenge myself in that way, oh gosh, it took so much energy out of me, but I felt like it was so worth it because it helped me be more attuned to like the rhythm and like how it goes and whatnot. So yeah.
And being a part of this world, you never really stop learning. You will constantly learn new things, whether it's new vocal techniques, new dancing techniques. Like you said, you like to challenge yourself to be able to adapt to, music is forever going to change.
Right.
Now, when it comes to singing the songs in Japanese, are you fluent in Japanese yourself, or is that something that you've had to teach yourself as well?
It's something that I taught myself. I'm not, so if someone were to come up to me and they would talk to me in Japanese, if it's like basic Japanese, I can understand what they're saying, but I can't respond back in Japanese. One of the things is that that I was getting in my mind while I was like in college was that I was just trying to learn writing, reading, and then speaking. And I was just like, okay, as long as I can get those things down, then I can pronounce my lyrics correctly. And that was mainly my focus was like, okay, I just need to make sure that I sound, like my pronunciation doesn't sound American. All right. That was more so that was like my main priority when it comes to like learning Japanese. And then I would also slow down the song, and then I would like break it like syllable by syllable and like listen to that. So I do that when it comes to learning Japanese. And actually, I'm still studying. So my conversational Japanese is extremely rusty. I would say like I'm like the level of like maybe a baby. If you were to talk to me, I would only have like little blurbs, little words here and there. Like for example, sometimes I would just be like doing the dishes, and like I would just like say to myself like, oh, like that means like it's a pain, like I just be doing that, and I'm like thinking, wait a minute, Julianne, you're not Japanese, why are you having like an anime moment while you're like washing dishes or something like that? But I would just randomly say those words, like it would just come out naturally. But yeah, I still need to study, so thank you shimasu.
I'm sure you're a lot farther along than I am, because I know the only, like, I am your typical anime weeb, where the only Japanese I know is what I have picked up from watching anime. Things like itsudakimasu and baka, and like everybody picked up baka thanks to Inuyasha way back in the day. I don't know how many times Kagome called them baka and vice versa, but
I like calling people aho instead of baka, because it's more of like from a different region of Japan. It's like I don't know why I like saying that instead. But I guess anime definitely can help when it comes to learning the language. But you're not gonna see like people out in the streets be like, oh, kono yaro, like like they're gonna like come in and like fight each other. You know, you gotta have to like.
You're not gonna walk around Tokyo and see a Demon Slayer moment or Attack on Titan moment or something.
Right. I mean, unless you're like out like in Shibuya streets in Halloween and people are like dressing up for fun or something. But other than that, it's like you're not like the way that these characters speak. Obviously, they're not gonna speak like that in person. So.
Oh, that would be very interesting.
It would be. It definitely would be. I mean, like, you know, actually, they probably would if they're, like, keeping up character as far as, like, the maid cafe, like, the moi moi kyun kind of thing. But other than that, it's, like, I don't know. You know, now that I'm thinking of maids, I was a part of the maid cafe once, and I don't want to do it ever again. It's difficult. I cannot keep up with that like moi cute like act for so long, because then like I just like go behind the scenes. I'm like washing my hands and I'm like, I can't do this. I don't want to keep up this act. It's better for me to be an idol, you know.
And you know, on the subject of maid cafes, we want to remind everybody that coming up in May, you will find me and my wife at PucciCon in Pocono, Pennsylvania. Oh. We are a proud sponsor of PucciCon. We will be there with a table. Hopefully we'll have at least one panel, and we are planning on doing at least one live show from the convention. So if you're able to make it out to PucciCon at the, I think it was the Camel Lodge. I don't remember. Oh God, I'm horrible at this. I have to look this up now.
I mean, PucciCon has been like moving around. What is that? I've been to PucciCon, the one in New Jersey, because one of my dear friends, Melancholia, they were performing there, and they came all the way from Texas, and it was just an amazing performance. So if you are really interested in other overseas idols, please go check out Melancholia. They are awesome. So.
And it is the Camelback Lodge in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, going on May 14th and 15th. We are excited to be a proud sponsor of them. We have donated a few giveaways, including one lucky winner will be a guest co-host for a future voice actor interview. Also, we have a show set aside where the overall winner of the Masquerade, as long as they are over 18, will be a featured guest here on Anime-Zing Radio for a future show. We also have extended our sponsorship into their New Jersey convention as well. So we may be down in the New Jersey area later in the summer as well.
Nice. Yeah. As far as like, I was thinking of like, if there was an alternative form of a maid cafe there, it has to be like a tsundere. Like if it's a tsundere maid cafe where it's like, ugh, here, eat it anyway. You know, you're just like dishing out the food. I'd rather be a part of that than try to keep up the cutesy act. Like imagine it's like, you know, someone comes in with a very cutesy like maid outfit, and they'll be like, what do you want? Tell me your order. I don't know. I just find it funny.
Minus the maid outfit, there actually is a restaurant in America where the staff basically abuses you.
Oh, I think
that's
I've
in
heard of
Chicago. That's in Chicago late at night, and people go there just to basically be belittled by the staff.
Oh gosh.
Although you could be the tsundere maid, you know, you just come out and you just.
Yeah, I'll be like, it's not like I wanted to feed you anyway.
Baka.
Baka.
Here's your food, Aho.
Oh gosh, but yeah,
you can have too much fun with Aho.
No, I mean, like seriously, I really can have like all these imagery. Like, oh, maybe like my friends, like my male friends who are like muscular, they have like the beard on and they just like wear the maid outfit. They'll like come in and be like, okay, what's your order? But yeah, I don't know.
Now, you know, having done Idol for so long, do you also cosplay at conventions and stuff when you're not performing?
I used to. A long time ago. Cosplays are so expensive. But a long time ago, I was telling myself, I'm going to do every Miku cosplay ever. Well, not every Miku cosplay, because, you know, I really liked Vocaloid, and that's all that I really cared about. I didn't really care. I mean, like, yeah, I'd like to do anime every now and then, but I cared more about J-pop music. So I was telling myself, wow, I'm gonna do this Project Diva cosplay. I'm gonna do this Project Diva cosplay, and then like I never really like I did a few, and the wig was like, it was stifling. I couldn't feel like I felt the sweat just like all over my body. Like the longest that I was able to be in a cosplay for was about like 3 to 4 hours, and then afterwards I'm like, no, I need to be free. Let me put on my regular girl clothes. And ever since, I just go to cons with my regular girl clothes. If I ever do want to go back into cosplaying, it'd probably be like joke cosplay. Like, I would go in like Dipsy from Teletubbies, or maybe I would wear a Bear Me from Build-A-Bear, and people would come and be like, "That's not for anime conventions." I'm like, shh, it's anime. I mean, like, I'm a huge Arthur weeb. I love Arthur a lot. So if you love PBS Kids, I come up with the Arthur cosplay, I'll do that.
Speaking of which, did you see the finale to that after almost
Yup.
25 years?
Yup. My thoughts on that is that I wish there was more. I wish they gave more context to the rest of the characters.
Yes.
It was so
Agreed.
short. And I'm
I have to
like,
say, the fact that George got portrayed instead of Brain was kind of shocking.
yeah, I'm like, where's the brain? I don't know. But I mean, it's fascinating that Arthur became a comic book artist or comic book writer, and I'm like, I can actually see that because Arthur was inspired by Mark Brown's childhood, so it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And going back to the cafes, we have some comments in the chat. I think they did a bro cafe once at one of our local cons, and they served protein shakes.
I love that.
Also said, I kind of want to go to a tsundere cafe.
That would be awesome.
And it also was recently brought to my attention, you were talking about being a Vocaloid fan. It's
Yes.
Miku Day.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I mean, come on, listen. Like, it's
that used to be a song we played on the Blog Talk Network when we were over there. We did play the Hatsune Miku Levian Polka song.
So let me tell you something about this character right here. Okay, so this is like a really bad. This is a cheap Taobao hat. I don't know where it came from. Somewhere from China. Who knows? Someone from China just made this, and it's like it looks cursed. And I named it Hat Sun Mike. Don't be scared, Anna. It's okay. They love you anyway. All right. So this is Hat Sun Mike. There at Anime NYC, I did a really bad joke performance with this hat. Maybe I'll upload the footage. But expect Hat Sun Mike to come on the stage every now and then just to do a little bit of comedy sticks. So yeah. But yeah, I used to be a Vocaloid fan. I can't. I don't know. I wish I can like form the passion or enthusiasm. I think I kind of just stopped. Not that I hate Vocaloid or anything, but it doesn't have that same type of like
excitement or
yes, unfortunately. And I think it's mainly due to the community. I mean, like you can blame anything when it comes to like any type of fandom and stuff like that. It's like, imagine you like something for so long and then you associate with the wrong people, and it's like, of course you need to detach from themselves and just like enjoy the artwork for itself. But it's hard because all those things are interconnected, and you made memories with those people and you like formed bonds, and then it's like all these unnecessary like drama gets in the way, and it's like it makes it hard for you to enjoy the artwork for what it is, or like just enjoy it for what it's for itself. So but yeah, like Vocaloid. I would always be like on the ranking boards, like paying attention to like the like who's like coming out, like different songs and stuff like that, and paying attention to that. And it was fun. It was fun discovering different types of artists. Not artists. What is that? Producers and composers that would like make these songs, and whatnot, and trying to like get a feel for like their creativity and what was going on with them when they were like making it. Like one of my favorite like Vocaloid producers goes by Iroha Sasaki. It's the same one who did Meltdown, and a lot of people like knew the song Meltdown, but I like a lot more of his other songs. It has like this very very oriental and also like chilling type of emotion when it comes to some of their music. It feels very like cool tones. If I had to like describe it with like colors, it would be like indigo, like a deep indigo hue.
So basically, it's just music that just tickles the right part of your brain.
Yes, yes.
I think it's a good analogy to use. I think a lot of people, you have those songs that just makes you feel like it's just like this is right.
Yeah, yeah. And like even when it comes to like certain types of songs, like I sometimes I associate different colors with them. It's like, oh, this sound makes me feel like a bright orange, or like this song makes me feel like a deep red, you know. Um it helps like in having like little abstract interpretations of it. And then like when I actually think of it in like those terms and like using like symbology, it also helps me whenever if I'm ever writing my own songs or if I'm trying to portray that in my voice. I'm like, okay, so if I'm trying to portray this feeling, I associate with this color and I'm like thinking of that color and then I'm trying to feel the color, you know?
Oh, yeah. Hearing you say that, I really think you would enjoy the Show by Rock franchise. Just because they talk, like, especially with, Plasmagica and the original Show by Rock and Mashimai Resh and Show by Rock, Mashimai Resh, they go into trying to write their own songs, and you see how they struggle to come up with ideas, and not just as an individual where Mashimai Resh is fresh in my mind because of having just watched that recently. Himiko is like the main girl of the band. She's the best singer. She writes most of their songs, things of that nature. And you see how she struggles to come up with ideas to get a song or how to put the music. And so I think that would be something that would be up your alley. Just from the creativity side, it's got a really good storyline that goes along with it. It's fun, multi-genre music based. As I said before, you have like Pretty Krista is your school idol girl band. You have Plasmagica and Mashimai Resh, who are more pop. And then you have like Shingun Crimson and Dokun Joe Finger. That is just your screaming heavy metal. You have the boy pop with Trichronica. You have the traditional Japanese music with Zuri Zuri. I'm not going to say the whole name of that band because I don't think I could pronounce it. But they have like the traditional Japanese instruments and everything. The sitar, I think, is one of the instruments and whatnot. So it really, the fact that it jumps through multi different facets of the music genre, I think that would be something that would be up your alley.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like speaking of music in general, I'm not really like as far as like concrete knowledge. I'm actually not that knowledgeable when it comes to music. Even though it sounds like I am, I'm actually really not that knowledgeable. Mainly what I'm doing is that I'm just going off of what I'm feeling and then just kind of using music as a way to convey those feelings. I'm more of like a natural learner. I'm more of like an intuitive learner. So it's like I don't really like, I mean, of course I do read books every now and then and whatnot, but I find like if I'm like stuck in like that perfectionist way of like getting things done, it makes it hard to have fun while I'm like creating things in general. So when it comes to like, if I ever am writing lyrics off the top of my head, I'm like thinking of like just melodies. If I'm on the subway, I'm like humming something, and then I like come back home and I'm like writing little bits and pieces of there of stuff. I only just go with like, if I'm feeling in the mood for it, then I'm going to do it. If I'm not in the mood for it, I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to force it because it just feels fake. And I want to make sure that if I'm going to make something, it feels real. So, but again, that's still a learning process because I'm still, again, just learning how to do all these things. Because I used to write lyrics when I was like younger, but I never really published much of anything. And it gets really difficult because as an idol myself, I don't produce music, and I don't really personally, I don't even have the patience to even want to do it. I'd rather outsource it to someone else who is like able to produce the music and like have my vision. But that also takes a lot of money, which is money that I don't have. So Yeah.
I also wanted to show you like Plasmagica is this band here, and they are like the characters are
Oh, they're very
adorable.
colorful.
That's why when you were saying color, I was like, they each have their own color and style, and they're like based off of animals. And when they sing, they go into a chibi form.
Nice.
So it's definitely. I will promote that show.
They're
That
very
show
cute.
had that franchise has bumped Rosario Vampire from my number one spot, and that's been number one for I want to say 2011 is when Rosario Vampire took number one, because that's when I first watched it, and it took this long for a show to bump that from the top spot. But and looking across the chats here,
Darren is dead.
No, we've been able to bring on other idol singers as well, other music groups. I think you had recommended Tune to us.
Yes, Tune.
And we had those wonderful ladies on with us a while back, and I had to tell you this story because it was funny. We had them on. They had a new song that they were getting ready to debut. We were honored where they let us play the song on the air. So I think we might have been the first people to play their new song at the time. And many moons later, we had Brad from Color World Books on the show, and his wife was listening in. And during a commercial break, I just happened to play one of Tune's songs. And he goes, was that Tune you just played? I was like, yeah. He goes, we know them.
Yes. Oh, gosh. I love...
Like, we're friends with them. It's like, we had them on the show. They were fantastic.
Yeah, no, I love Tune. What is that? Now I got stories about Tune, stuff like that. So Sneko, what is that? She is like Colombian American, and what is that? Uno, she is from Japan. So the way that we were able to meet up, well, I was able to meet up through Sneko. When I was like in Rainbow Bubble Girls, I didn't know much of Sneko at the time. But the New York City, like I'd say the New York City idol community was like so small, you know? So I wanted to get to know more about her, and I kind of look at her like a senpai, because not only is she older than me, but I feel like she has like a lot more experience, like at least as like veteranship goes. And I would always try to attend all of her performances and like support them and record them. And then like, you know, I'd be buying her checky and stuff like that. It's so funny. When I was over at her apartment a few times, she gave me her outfit. She gave me like her stage outfit. She gave me like whatever, like other like keychains and stuff like that, because she was moving all the way to Los Angeles. But I do recall the times when we did bond together, and like I would just go to her apartment and I would see her cats, and it was just really nice because she would tell me how she was able to adapt onto stage or like sing in certain ways. And it was nice, like even being able to collaborate with her, like that one time on that tiny, like we had like a tiny stage. It was at a bar called Lovecraft Bar, and this was like Christmas time, and we were doing a collaboration. And like this is the first time that I had a headset microphone, and it was kind of tricky doing it, but we still made it work. And the funny thing about both of us is that we are both like 4'11", so we're both short. So yeah, like I had lots of fun just like working with her, just like getting to know her in general, because she just taught me so much. Yeah.
And is there I'm not very familiar with the idol community in the U.S. Is it still a growing community? Are you seeing a lot of people who are trying to get into the idol community still, or do you feel like it's kind of stagnated because people don't know about it?
It's a mix of both, actually. So when it comes to the local New York City idol community, it's kaput. Like the only New York City idol that I know of is me, and then like I guess like another friend, but I wouldn't say that she has debuted. She's in the comments. Her name is Anna. But other than that, like not really. There's not really much like idols in New York City. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot. Reni Mimura. You know, she's also like one of those. But other than that, like it's just it's just been kind of kaput, and I think it's just difficult to like get like these things going on in New York City. I don't know why. Maybe I should like write up like some sort of like draft on that and like make a video about it later. But I'll definitely get back on you later. But as far as overall America goes, it's one of the reasons why I started up Overseas Idol Collection way back then, because I saw that there was an idol community that was, like, I'd say in my mind, booming in Texas, in the Texas area. And when I flew over there to Texas, they had this thing called Texas Idol Festival. And I'm like, there's an overseas idol. This is before the overseas idol term was created. There's an idol festival in Texas. And I was like, I gotta go. So I was like on Facebook and I was like getting in touch with, the performers there, like Galaxy Girl Pida. Galaxy Girl Pida is like pretty good. Like she's getting a lot of more traction on TikTok because her voice is like so good. There's Nyaru. She is a virtual idol now. There's also Martha Marie, and she has like a lot of like professional training when it comes to her stuff. So like those are the people. Oh, Melancholia as well. But anyway, besides names, they had the Texas scene that was going there. This is way back in let's say 2017 around. So Texas had their own idol community. Atlanta, Georgia had their own little idol community, and then Florida had their own idol community. A little bit of California as well, but those were like the main sectors of like those in the idol community. So I was thinking, because there's more people out here, I gotta network with them. So I just got in touch with them through Facebook. I started to ask them, how did you start? Where did you begin? Like, what do you think about creating a network, a Discord server where we can all get together and do these things? And they thought it was a great idea. And that's where I basically started. And I'm like thinking, instead of like me limiting it to just America, why not find out there's other types of overseas idols all over the world? And I was just really interested in like, there's overseas idols in Peru. There's Spain, there's Italy, there's the Philippines, Vietnam. Like there's like all these different places where all these overseas idols take place in, and I kind of wanted to like unite the world through like connections. But again, I think going back to whether it's increasing or decreasing, it really depends, because mainly that type of community had like more of Americans in there. And when the cosplayers started coming in, right, they were taking their own mindset and their own approach, which again, there's nothing wrong with taking cosplay and translating it to idols and stuff like that, but they were stepping into our territory, so to say. They were stepping into our space, and we were trying to be like, hey, this is what real Japanese pop idols are doing. We want to highlight more cultural appreciation rather than appropriation, right? And some people just had creative differences, lots of like tension start to erupt, and I just got burnt out from the whole ordeal, and that's why I stopped. People are still slowly getting involved into it, but I'd say that the unity of the community, in my humble opinion, has really degraded. I don't think there's much of like that community bonding that there was when I first got involved in these spaces. And I could be wrong because I haven't participated in like a few years now, ever since I left. But I think what's really important, if anyone is out there watching and is part of the community, is to really hone in on like what's going to unite people and make sure that you rebuild a solid community, because it's a niche. Not many people know of it. Not many people are well educated about it. But what's important is like not misinforming people about the facts, making sure they understand what they're getting into, and also, for the most part, taking the delusionary or like fantasy aspects away from the whole idol thing and just looking at it from a more realistic standpoint is key to making sure that everyone is able to get along and like go to the common goal, which is basically showcasing overseas idols and people being taken seriously that way, and you don't have to be a quote unquote professional or make money out of doing this. That's not really the main intention, but making sure that you are validated and you are seen for your own experiences and your hard work. I think that's the most important thing. So.
And I want to put out there as well that anybody that's a part of the idol community that's working hard to, better yourselves, better the community, as you said, Julily, unite the people. Shoot me a message if you'd like to come on the show to showcase your experiences. And I'm very open. I've had a few J-pop artists and idol artists on the show in the past, and I'm always open to bringing that world on the show to showcase, because A, it's a world I don't really know anything about, but enjoy the music. And B, I enjoy, as you know, I enjoy promoting people, showcasing people's talents. And now that we have switched to YouTube, it took me 7 years before I was like, hey, I should probably just be on YouTube and not on these lesser networks or networks that we really didn't see the growth that we were hoping for. As I said, April 3rd is our 8-year anniversary show. And, we didn't do much in the way of growth on Blog Talk Radio because, A, you needed to subscribe, and a lot of people didn't want to do that. When we started on Hazy Radio, people had never heard of it, so they were skeptical of that site. And, now being on YouTube, we implemented video. Yes, it took away a lot of our sound bites. A lot of our show IDs we could not play because the voice actors were in character, so copyright claims on that, or music, or things of that nature. So we're limited to exactly like the sounds and stuff that we can do now, as opposed to when we're on Blog Talk. But I think the video aspect side of things helps to legitimize the show through, hey, we have this voice actor on, and instead of somebody sitting there and being like, well, yeah, it sounds like it could be them, but how do we know that it's really them? Now we have a camera, and you can see. We had Bryn April on the show, who voiced Cyan, who was the cat girl from Plasmagic in the picture I had showed you. And, we've had multiple. We had Danny Chambers last week. Anthony Bowling has been a guest on the show. For our anniversary show, we have Anthony actually coming back for a short time, and we have Lindsay Shepard confirmed. So a couple of great voice actors from Funimation that'll be joining us for our anniversary show. Like I said, it's going to be April 3rd right here on YouTube. Like I said, subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Facebook as well. We update our schedule on a regular basis there as we know updates and things like that. We also will have our convention schedule where people can find us. This weekend, you'll see me and our co-host Angela, who didn't join us tonight because of a prior obligation. We will be at Northeast Comic-Con and Collectibles Extravaganza in Boxborough, Mass. Not to be confused with Foxborough, where the Patriots play. They have an amazing guest lineup, including Tara Reid is going to be there, Nicole Kang, Candy Clark, Vernon Wells, John Wesley Shipp, who is the Flash, is going to be there. The Harp Twins, Guy Gilchrist, who's an artist with a lot of the Muppet Babies, Fraggle Rock. Gary Summers, who puts on Northeast Comic-Con, always brings an all-star lineup. And we have always had fun going to support his shows and everything. So you can find us there at the end of April 23rd, 24th. You can find us at the Vermont Sci-Fi and Fantasy Expo. We will have a table and be promoting Anime-Zing Radio. So if you're in the Vermont area and you'd like to come by and say hi, you will find me there with my wife and daughter. In May, like I said, we're going to be at PucciCon. In May 14th and 15th, down at the Camelback Lodge. And then at the end of May, Memorial Day weekend, we will be at Anime Boston. Hopefully, we'll be there as press, or we'll have a table. We will have a table at PucciCon. So if you see us, come by, say hi. We love meeting the fans. Love talking anime with people. The cosplayers are always fantastic. Love finding new cosplay and artists and stuff, and more people we can bring on the show and promote. We are almost out of time tonight. Going for about an hour and a half. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has been a pleasure and a lot of fun catching up.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Before we say our good nights to the fans, we want to give you a chance to promote yourself, any social media, anywhere people can find you and follow you. We call it our shameless plugging section, and the floor is yours.
Yes. So if you want to check out more of me in general, I just have a website, a simple website that is julily.live. And over there, I have my own blog section. I have my own merch section if you want to buy merch, like just keychains and stuff like that. I have my press kit if you're interested in like the stuff that I did do before, but I'm letting you know it's outdated ever since like the pandemic and stuff like that. So my voice and like my dancing abilities have definitely changed over time. Whenever I am able to make some sort of comeback, I don't know when that's going to be. It depends on how my body is going to heal. That's all dependent. But yeah, basically everything is julie.live. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I have Julie Infinite. I have I forgot my social media platforms. I have Twitter. I have YouTube. Basically, almost all my social media is on my website. So if you just like scroll down through my press kit, you'll find all my social media at julily.live. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat. It was great to see a very active chat room. I love the interaction with the fans. We have a lot of our longtime fans are very knowledgeable, and we have some who have supported us from the beginning. I also want to throw a happy birthday out to one of our loyal fans, Mario. I didn't see you in the chat room tonight, but his birthday was yesterday. So Mario Tanaka, happy birthday. I hope you had a wonderful birthday. For all of you out there who have birthdays coming up before Sunday, I hope you all have a wonderful and happy birthday as well. Stay safe out there. I know that there's going to be some winter weather coming through the New England, New York area this weekend, so stay safe. I'm going to be traveling in snow at some point, I'm sure, but that's all part of the fun of living up here.
Yes, and thank you for inviting me and Princess Coco to come and talk.
Oh, of course. Just a reminder, this Sunday we have Aaron Campbell, a very talented Funimation voice actor who is going to be joining us. He is known as, for his role as Red in Banished from the Heroes Party. He was also the main character from The Helpful Fox Senko-san, who came up with the quote, "Floofy floof," which we now use to, on our cat Ainz, wherever he may be, because he has a floofy orange tail. And if Ainz was a girl, we would have named him Senko.
So cute.
Until Sunday, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the week out there. Stay safe. We'll see you right here again Sunday for more Anime-Zing Radio on YouTube.